In 1812, the largest army the world has ever seen marched thousands of miles to take Moscow and conquer Russia. The journey was harsh, with thousands dying, and when they finally made it to Moscow, they found the city had already been destroyed by a massive fire, which destroyed most of the city. Welcome to Earth Sights on This Day series, and today we focus on the story of the Fire of Moscow in 1812, when Napoleon Bonaparte, at the height of his power, walked into a city destroyed not by his own cannons, but by fire. A fire so vast that it consumed 3/4 of Russia's capital and turned the tide of one of history's most legendary wars. But let's go back to learn why Napoleon wanted to attack Russia to begin with. On the 21st of October, 1805, Napoleon attempted to invade the United Kingdom. With a massive combined fleet of Spanish and French ships, he attempted to cross the English Channel and conquer Britain. His plan, however, was foiled when a smaller Royal Navy fleet, led by Nelson, defeated Napoleon's naval forces. With the Royal Navy and new defenses across the southern English coast, a successful invasion seemed unlikely. Having suffered several defeats in the Peninsular War, 1808 to 1814, particularly the loss of Portugal to British and Portuguese forces under the command of Wellington, Napoleon was eager for the United Kingdom to broker peace with France. He hoped by preventing European trade with the British, they would be forced to start peace negotiations. However, Russia, among other European nations, continued to trade with the UK. Napoleon planned to invade Russia and force Tsar Alexander I to stop trading with Britain. He amassed the largest army the world had ever seen, some 500,000 men known as the Grande Army, and headed for Russia. Such a large army would require a huge amount of food and other supplies to enable the force to keep marching. Accompanying the army was 9,300 wagons of supplies, and including both those carrying the wagons and used by the troops, a total of 250,000 horses. Russia had no chance of defeating a mobile army of such magnitude, but Napoleon had made a massive mistake. Despite the huge amount of supplies, Napoleon would have to defeat the Russians quickly before supplies ran out and starvation began, and Russia was a vast country to conquer. Previously, smaller armies would live off the land, stealing or buying what they needed, but this tactic would not last long on this scale. The Russian military leader knew the difficulty feeding such a large force would cause, and he used this to his advantage. The retreating Russian army began to employ the tactic of scorched earth. By retreating, they drew the depleting French army deeper and deeper into Russia, burning each of their own cities to the ground as they went and leaving nothing for the French army to use. Napoleon had not planned for the Russian invasion to take so long, and now winter was setting in. As the invasion began in June, the horses still had summer shoes, which were useless in the icy conditions of a Russian winter. Winter horseshoes had spiked for grip, and without them the horses would frequently break their limbs. The Grande Army were losing some 5,000 men a day to illness, starvation, and suicide. The Russian army finally turned and fought Napoleon's forces on the 7th of September in the town of Borodino, west of the capital. The Battle of Borodino caused the death of between 70,000 and 100,000 soldiers and ended with another Russian withdrawal and French semi-victory. With the Grande Army so close to Moscow, the city was evacuated, and as the retreating Russian army passed through the city, soldiers were ordered to set it alight before leaving on the 14th of September, 1812. The French Grande Army continued on to Moscow, arriving at the Kremlin only to find the capital evacuated and ablaze. Napoleon retreated to the suburbs, keeping a safe distance from the fire. He and his army remained in Moscow for a month in the hope that Tsar Alexander I would seek peace negotiations, but they never came. The fire of Moscow marked the beginning of the end for Napoleon's empire. Writers like Leo Tolstoy immortalized it in works like War and Peace. By the end of the year, Napoleon had left Russia with most of his army dead. Napoleon would finally be defeated in the Battle of Waterloo against a combined army of Great Britain and allies led by the Duke of Wellington and the Prussian army led by Marshal Blucher. He would spend his remaining days in exile on the island of St. Helena. He died on the 5th of May, 1821, still in exile. Thank you for joining us on this journey into history. If you found this story as fascinating as we did, don't forget to like this video, leave a comment with your thoughts, share it with others who love history, and subscribe for more deep dives into the past. And, as always, thank you for watching, and thank you for using EarthSight.